This video is a continuation from video number 6, and we will continue working with the images. So we set the image, we created a reset method, and we need to reset everything when the view loads. So in the load here, we add another step that says reset, and send a message to self that says I want you to reset everything. Also, every time the user starts a game, before we play a game, we need to reset. So we say reset, self reset. Let me reset here. Reset the game. Alright, so now the way this will look like is when the game starts, we don't see the labels and we don't see the image. You press start game, you play G#, press C, you get incorrect answer. You press start game, it disappears, everything is reset, and you notice the image are disappearing. We don't have images yet. So now when the user make a correct answer, we want to show the correct answer image, and when the user makes an incorrect answer, we want to show an incorrect answer image. So in the check answer, as I said, what we're going to do is we're going to set the alpha to 1. So we come here and say set the alpha to 1. So we say image, correct answer, set alpha 1, and incorrect answer, set alpha to 0. So let's see how this will work. So you start the game, it's playing C#, correct answer, here it is, it shows. Then you play another one, there's an F#, so incorrect answer. And I set the alpha here to 0, it should be 1. So this is why it was not shown. Now you notice that the image is showing abruptly. There is no, it's moving in, it's not animated in or out. So how can we animate the display of the image? What we're animating, in fact, is we're animating the duration it takes for the image for the alpha to go from 0 to 1. For the image to go from full transparency to the full alpha, we have a duration here. We can animate that duration. To set up the animation, we can use the built-in animation in the view. Remember that on the view controller there's a view, so I can set up the animation. The way it works is you define a block in which the animation is taking place. My animation block is where the alpha is moving to 1. The alpha is 0, so it's going to go from 0 to 1. So here, this if statement will be my animation block. So I will set up the animation block, and by sending a message to the UI view and say begin animation. The begin animation indicates it receives like a context and a string to name the block. I don't need any of that, so I will say this is nil and the block is null here, so that begins the animation. I can then set animation properties. Set animation properties. There are multiple properties, and you can see them in different messages. UI view and set animation, and you can see there's set animation curve, delay, delegate, did stop, duration, repeat, and different things in the animation. Enabled, start date, transition, different types of animation. In my case here, we're going to take the animation duration and we'll say display go from 0 to 1 alpha over a period of 2 seconds. Then at the end of the block of the animation, we need to commit the animation. So we come here and say commit animation. CUI view commit animation. So let's see how that works. So you press A. See, now the image is taken. It's time to come. And if you click start, let's make this is again incorrect answer. And it's the D, so it's a correct answer. And now it's working. Alright, so now what we were able to do is every time you click start game, a random sound is played. There is a challenge is presented. We developed a mechanism to read the user response to the challenge through clicking buttons that carry a text equal to the name of the note. And then we presented the user with a feedback that says this is a correct or incorrect. Now, if our game is just one turn, then this is a one-turn game. But that makes it a very simple game and kind of boring. Let's set up every game has multiple turns. So give attempts, many attempts to the user. And once you click start game, the sounds plays multiple times. So you play multiple times and you keep a score of each one of those times. So let's see how we can do that. First, we need to implement the turns. To implement the turns, we basically, after the user make an answer, we need to call play game again. And play game need to check if we reached the end of the turns or if we did not reach the end of the turn. So we need a mechanism to define how many turns we want, and we need a mechanism to define the counter that counts the turns. And every time the user makes an answer, this means that a turn has been, an attempt is being made. So we need to define a counter. So we go back to the header, and in our instance variables block, define a counter. So define a counter, a turn counter, a turn counter. So we say this is a variable because it's a number, and it's a non-decimal number, so we can use integer, and we can call it turn counter. Alright, so when we reset the game, one of the things we want to reset is the turn counter. So we say reset turn counter. So we say turn counter equal 0. Then every time the user checks the answer, we increment the turn counter. So after committing the animation, increment the turn counter. So we say turn counter equal turn counter plus 1. And in the game, when we play a game, playing the game only happens if play counter is under the number of allowed or number of attempts that are allowed. So everything in here, I want to put it in an if statement that says if the turn counter is less than how many turns we want, let's say 3, and then you open the block of if statement and close the block of if statement. So if the turn counter is less than 3, then do the play the game. If it is more than 3, then you stop playing the game. So how do we play the game? The user checked the answer, we committed the animation, we told the user what they did, incremented the counter, but then it stops. So we have to send the message to play the game again. So let's do that. Play another turn. So I send the message to the self and say self play game. This probably on a hindsight here, this I should have probably named this play turn, not play game. But you can also say, well, this plays a full game. The other one starts the game, but this one plays the game. So let's see how this works. So here is the start game. You play, you choose an answer, I choose a correct answer, and then the other one played, the other sound is played, and the label and the image are still there, and it's waiting for me. So the moment you click the answer, the second sound plays without you even knowing if, without the user figuring out first if this was a correct answer or not. This is happening because the way this is executed, when the user clicks a button, it goes to the check answer module, it starts executing the instructions line by line sequentially in order, and this is extremely fast. So it displays those, plays the game, and which moves on, checks the counter, and comes down, find that everything is done. Okay? Is there a way we can delay playing the sound again? We set the animation to take 2 seconds. Can we wait 2 seconds before the second sound is played, before the play game? And in fact, we can do that. When we call play game, we send the message directly to play game. But there's another way to send the message to play game. Every module is called or known in the code as a selector. So on the controller, the view controller, there is something called perform selector. Perform selector after delay. Perform selector with object after delay. So you could be sending an object to the selector and perform after a certain delay. So what is the selector that I want? I need to select a selector here, and this selector is play game. The object is nothing, nil. I don't have an object to send. The time interval, let's use 2 seconds as well. So now let's see what this will do. So you start the game. So first sound, I answered. So now wait. It waits until the answer came, then it plays the second sound. And maybe you could even make it wait 3 seconds if you want to spend some time reading this. So here's a correct answer. Now notice something. The label switched to correct answer, and the green apple is shown, but it is hidden under the incorrect image. The reason for that is that we're moving from check answer directly to play game. We only reset the images and the label at the start game. So we have a reset module, but the reset module is resetting these 3 and also resetting the counter. I don't want to reset the counter. I only want to reset those 3. So how I can resolve this? Maybe I can do a reset answer and make all these 3 inside the reset answer and call the reset answer and leave the counter over here by itself. Or maybe reset turn and reset game. So this one resets the entire game and the other one reset between the turns. Maybe, yeah, so maybe leave this as a reset game and make another one that says reset turn. And what I'll do, I just need to copy all these. So I'm just gonna cut them, put them in here, and just to call reset turn. Reset a turn and then reset a game. So I say self reset turn. So this reset turn resets images and label between each turn, and the other reset is reset everything for a new game. So the reset turn need to happen here in the play game. Reset turn. I say self reset turn. Alright. The other thing is, notice when the game was over, there's nothing that tells me that a game is over. So I need to find a way and nothing also tells me what attempt do I have in here. Is this the first attempt, the second, the third? So I need a way to indicate that this is the first, second, or third attempt. I also need a way to tell me that a game is over. To set the attempts, I will add a label here and display in this label how many turns out of how many turns that are available. And for the ending game, I'm going to display an alert that says now game is over. Let's do the alert first, then do the other label. Inside play game, I'm checking if the turn counter is less than 3, meaning it's 0, 1, and 2. And 3 here is just arbitrary how many turns. You can make it 10, 5, whatever you want. So what if the turn counter is more than 3? If turn counter is more than 3, then this will be else. So if that is the case, this means that game is now over. So I need to let the user know that the game is now over. So I can just display an alert message, display an alert message to say game is over. We introduce you to the UI alert view. So we create a UI alert view and we call it alert. And to create a UI alert view, we first need to see what's in there. You can go to the documentation and see what do we have in a UI alert view. Let's see if there's something that can give you an alert. So you have to allocate the UI alert view, and then you can initialize. So I say alert equal and send the message to an alert to say I want you to initialize yourself. There's an initialize with title. That's what I want. So initialize with title, and as you can see there's so many things, and my title here will be game over, and a message. And the message here, you can set up a message, a variable or a string that is a message. I can for now just say game over. The delegate who will respond to this self, the cancel button, title, what do you want the title to be? I want it to be okay, so the user just tell me okay. Are there any other titles? No. If you want more than one button, then you can add multiple buttons here, and you can have as a delegate you can set up responses to it. Then you want to show the alert, so you tell the alert I want you to show yourself. So let's see how that works. So you started the game. Here's a correct answer. Then another sound, incorrect. Then a third one, incorrect. Then now game is over. Here is my title. This is the title, game over, and here is my message. Once we start to implement the scoring, which we'll do in the next video, we will update this message and put the score for that particular game in here. Alright, so let's add a label that tells me how many attempts are there, and then we will be ready for the scoring. So I need to go back to my storyboard and bring my utility and get a label and this label will be my how many attempts. I'm gonna call it label attempts. So bring in my assistant editor, and I need to set this as a property. Oops. So I made a mistake here. I connected it to this property, so I need to delete that. So I need to go for it, the label answer feedback. Here it is. So I need to take that out. And the this label, I need to connect it here, and this one has to be a new one. So this will be label attempts. That will tell me how many attempts or how many turns. Maybe I call it turns since I'm calling it turn counter. Connect. And no longer need that. Go to the implementation. Synthesize that label. And in the reset, when I'm resetting labels, I need to reset that label as well. So label turns, and I need to set text to be empty. Now here are the turns, but the turns will be the turn counter, the current value of turn counter before I updated, divided by how many turns that I have. I am using a constant 3 here as how many turns. If I use it again in another method, then I'm duplicating. What if I want to change it? You can define it as a property, or you can just define a label for it. So I can come here on the top after import and use a directive called the define, and I say define turns to 3. What this does, it takes the 3, and every time it sees the word turns, it replaces it with the 3. It's just a way for me to not repeat 3 more than one time. So I go back now to my if statement, and instead of having 3, I'm just going to use turns. Then I can come to my label and create a message that says how many turns do I have, and update that label with how many turns I have. So I come here before, after commit the animation, set up a turn count message. So ns string star turn message equal, and then this will be ns string with format, and I want a message that says turn, and then I want to say turn number, and then percent, and that's an integer, out of how many percent, and then another integer. So I'm saying there are 2 integers. The first integer is the turn counter, and the second integer is the total, which is turns. And then I want to set the label, turn label, to that message. So label turns, set text, turn message. This is all in the check answer. So let's see. So you start the game, and this is 1. Now it says it's turn 0 out of 3, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, and that's the last one. Of course, here we really need to, updating 0 is not right. We need to do 1, 2, and 3. So maybe I can make that message after incrementing the turn. So I can take that and put it after the turn is incremented, so that I can see it as 1, 2, 3 instead of 0, 1, and 2. Let's see that. So you start. Here is 1. So now it says 1, 2, 3. And then game over. So we'll stop here, and in the next video we will calculate a score, and we'll calculate the score, and then at the end disable and enable the buttons.